The station hung in orbit, like a scar-old metal wrapped around a dying moon. Varellan soldiers patrolled the halls, their boots clicking sharply on steel floors. Cameras turned. Lights flickered, and inside the deepest cell, a single human sat quietly. His name was Elias Rourke, mid-30s, calm, hands chained to the wall. No bruises, no screaming, just silence. He had been captured 3 days ago when his diplomatic shuttle had entered restricted Varellan space. The guards didn't understand the fuss. "He's just another human," said one, spinning his shock baton. "Why is command so nervous?" "They say he's a diplomat," replied another, "but he had no escort, no weapons. Just a bag and a silver crest." The first guard scoffed. "Yeah, a pretty pin won't save him from interrogation." They didn't understand. None of them did. The first warning had already come and gone. Back on Earth, when Elias's distress signal stopped, the High Council held an emergency session. A transmission was sent across the stars, short and simple. Release the human envoy. Immediately. The Varellans ignored it. They had dealt with humans before: merchants, miners, off-world travelers. Earth liked peace. Earth always stayed quiet, and for that reason, the galaxy had forgotten something very old and very important. They had forgotten what happens when a human is harmed. Inside his cell. Elias stared at the flickering bulb above him. He knew the silence wouldn't last. Earth had rules. One of them was very old, taught to every colony, whispered to every alien ambassador. Never touch a human envoy. The door hissed open. A general stepped in, flanked by guards. "Elias Rourke," he said coldly, "you entered our borders without permission." Elias didn't move. His chains clinked softly as he looked up. "I told you who I am. I carry the seal of Earth's High Council." The general sneered. "A seal that means nothing here. You trespassed. You spied. You will face judgment." "You have 48 hours left," Elias replied quietly. The general paused. "Excuse me? You don't understand what you've done," Elias said, his voice even. "You didn't just take a man. You declared war." The general laughed. "War? Earth doesn't fight wars. You sit behind peace treaties and soft words." Elias looked straight into the alien's eyes. "That's because we choose peace," he said. "But that choice can be taken away." The general leaned closer. "You have no weapons, no fleet. Your people live on a green ball of mud. You'll see," Elias whispered. That night, something strange happened. All Varellan patrol ships along the outer rim stopped reporting in. At first, command blamed interference, solar flares, malfunctions. But then the satellites went dark 2.1 by 1 dot, and then the stars themselves vanished, not literally. But where once there were glowing maps of distant beacons, there was only static. The galaxy began to go silent. One technician on the command deck of the Varellan station began to panic. "We're blind." "System malfunction?" "No," she said. "Someone's erasing us. Outposts, patrols, sensors, they're just gone." On the 4th day of Elias's capture, a ship arrived. It didn't show up on scanners. It didn't follow any known propulsion trail. It simply appeared in orbit, right above the Varellan station. Smooth black hull, no lights, no windows. No markings, except one. A red circle burned into the side, the symbol of Earth's oldest defense protocol, the Valkyrie Initiative. Back on the station, sirens screamed. The general stormed into Elias's cell. "What did you do?" Elias raised his head. "You still have a choice." The general slapped him. "You threaten us with ghost ships? With silence?" Elias stared coldly. "I warned you. Earth doesn't shout. We just remove the problem." The Black Ship sent no message. No demand, no communication. It launched one single object, small, round, glowing dot. It struck the station's defense grid. And everything turned off. Lights, weapons, engines, everything died. In the dark, the soldiers panicked. One by one, they screamed as something moved. Through the shadows. No explosions, no blood. Just people disappearing. By the time the power returned, half the station was empty. Then came the message. A voice filled every hallway, soft and mechanical. This is not a war. This is punishment. The envoy will be returned. You have 20 minutes. The general stood shaking. He rushed to Elias's cell, but the door was already open. The chains lay broken. Elias was gone. A moment later, he appeared on the screen, standing calmly on the Black Ship's bridge. Behind him stood others. Not soldiers. Not diplomats. Something older. Something made for only one purpose, to protect. The ones Earth sends. Elias looked into the camera. You touched a human. Now the galaxy will remember. The Black Ship vanished. And with it, the proof that Earth had ever responded at all. 2 days later, every Galactic Council member received a new document. A treaty. Simple. Final. Unbreakable. Clause 1. No human envoy shall be detained, questioned, or harmed. Clause 2. If such action is taken, retaliation will not be negotiable. Clause 3. Earth will not send a second warning. The Varellan Empire signed within the hour, across the stars. Others watched in silence. Some began moving their borders. Others erased old plans, and deep in forgotten archives, ancient civilizations whispered what they had once told each other, long before the stars grew crowded. If you value your world, never touch a human. The Varellan Empire was humiliated, their pride shattered by a single human. A diplomat they thought they could break, but Elias Rourke had vanished, rescued by a ship that should not exist. Half of their station's crew had disappeared. No trace. No bodies. No evidence of battle. Just silence and shame. The Empress of Varela slammed her clawed hand onto the table in her war chamber. Earth made a mockery of us, she growled. Now the galaxy laughs. Her generals stood silent. I want retaliation, she said coldly. I want fire. I want Earth to burn. General Kale, commander of the Outer Fleet, stepped forward. We've gathered our best ships, over 300 cruisers, 50 dreadnoughts, elite hunters, all cloaked, all armed. The Empress narrowed her eyes. Good, no negotiations, no mercy. This time, they learn who rules the stars. The fleet launched the next morning. It was the largest armada the Varellans had ever assembled. It moved like a blade cutting through sectors, fast and silent. They expected resistance, interceptors, warnings, maybe a human message. They got nothing. Not a word, not even a sensor ping. The closer they got to Earth, the stranger things became. Entire space routes were empty. Stations once lit with thousands of beacons were offline. Asteroid belts were cleared out. The air felt abandoned. By the fourth day, a lieutenant aboard the lead ship Varela's Might reported an eerie discovery. Sir, we passed a Terran listening post. It was intact. General Kale frowned. And no crew. No defenses. No signal. It was hollow. Kale leaned forward in his command chair. Abandoned? The lieutenant hesitated. Worse, it looked like everyone just vanished mid-task. Coffee still warm. Systems running. Kale stared at the stars. What was Earth doing? Why weren't they fighting back? By the 6th day, the fleet entered Sol's Edge, the outer region of Earth's solar system. They expected to find human defense. Satellites, mines, scout ships. Instead, they found only silence. Scan everything, Kale ordered. I want heat signatures, energy trails, cloak distortions, anything. His crew scanned for hours. Nothing. Just the cold, quiet stars. And then, Varella's mic picked up something strange. A whisper. A low, static signal repeating again. And again. Kale leaned in. Play it. A simple voice echoed from the speakers. Soft. Human. You were warned. Then silence. Origin? Kale demanded. Everywhere, the technician whispered. It's coming from all directions at once. The entire bridge crew froze. General, another officer yelled. The ships behind us, some are missing. What? They were just there. Rho, Gamma, and Theta gone. Not destroyed. Just not there anymore. Kale stood. Raise all captains. Emergency formation. Titan grid. Prepare for... His words stopped. On the main screen, Earth appeared. But something was wrong. It wasn't green and blue. It was dark, covered in shadows. Clouds black as coal swirled around it. Lights were out across the continents, like the planet had died. Where are their defense stations? One officer asked. Kale didn't answer. He stared at the dark planet, uneasy. Suddenly, another officer gasped. Sir, our rear fleet is gone. 30 ships, just vanished. Kale slammed his fist. Cloak scan, wormhole detection. This is a trick. A new alert blared. One of the dreadnought's Varellan Fury sent a distress call. A scream, then static. A moment later, its icon on the fleet display blinked out. Kale's voice dropped to a whisper. Where are they? The fleet began to panic. Captains spoke over each other on the comms. We're not alone. Shadows outside the hull scanners blind. Something is inside the ship. Engineering. Just went dark. Kale's ship shook violently. No impact detected, the tech shouted. But something's pulling us like space itself is changing. The stars outside the windows flickered. Bent. Moved. And then a shadow passed over. Earth. Not a ship. Not a planet. Something older. It was massive. Black. Motionless. It floated above Earth like a guardian or a judge. Kale's ship powered. Down instantly. Everything went black. He looked around, heart pounding. The only sound now was his own breath. Then, from deep space, another signal came. Not audio. Not visual. A pulse. It hit every ship at once. And then they were gone. Not destroyed. Not exploded. Just erased. 2 weeks later, a single escape pod was found drifting near the neutral station of Vios Prime. No distress. Signal. No damage. Inside was a single data pad. No crew. No blood. No bones. Just a message. This was your last mistake. The fleet will not return. Touch a human again, and the galaxy burns. The Galactic Council met in full emergency session. Species from across the stars' empires. Coalitions, clans. Everyone wanted to know what happened to the Varellan fleet. No wreckage. No survivors. Just silence. Ambassadors from Earth didn't attend the meeting. They didn't need to. A small drone delivered a single page, a list of fleet names, all crossed out. And below, a note. Earth has shown restraint. You may continue to breathe. In the weeks that followed, something strange happened. Pirate groups who once hunted human freighters vanished. Border skirmishes near Earth's. Trade lanes stopped. Alien media refused to speak the name Elias Rourke. And in hidden corners of space, old races whispered again the ancient rule. Do not touch the humans. They burn quiet, and when they burn, they do not stop. 3 weeks had passed since the Varellan fleet disappeared. 300 warships. Gone. No signals. No black box. No bodies. Just silence. The galaxy whispered. Fear spread faster than light. Some believed Earth used an ancient weapon. Others thought they had opened a rift in time. But no one knew the truth. The Galactic Council demanded answers. Where was the fleet? What did Earth do? But Earth said nothing. No reply. No message. Not even a denial. They went silent. That silence was terrifying. The Council met in full emergency mode. Ambassadors from over 50 species gathered in the Hall of Order. Screens flashed. Reports came in from across the stars. Trade routes near Earth were empty. Human outposts were locked down. No. Terran vessels were seen outside their zone. They're preparing for war, said the Tyran ambassador. They're hiding, said the Velari delegate. They fear us. No, whispered the Koldari. They are not afraid. They are remembering. Remembering what? Someone asked. The Koldari looked around. That they once ruled death itself. Murmurs filled the chamber. Then came a message. Encrypted. Direct. From Earth. Every ambassador received it at once. No video. Just 4 words. You touched our own. Panic spread instantly. The Council scrambled to respond. A new message was drafted offering peace, requesting talks, promising investigation into the Varellan actions. It was sent. No answer. Again, silence. Hours passed. Then, days. No human ship moved. No diplomat appeared. Not even Earth's allies heard from them. It was as if Earth had closed its doors, but something else was happening. In secret corners of space, strange events began. On the outer edge of the Blanari trade ring, a smuggler station went dark. No distress signal. When scout ships arrived, they found the place completely empty. Even food on plates was untouched. No signs of struggle. Only a single mark on the wall, glowing faint red, a circle within a flame. Earth's ancient symbol for wrath authorized. On the 4th moon of Cyrellus Prime, a mercenary group who once captured human slaves vanished overnight. Their fortress still stood, but inside, nothing remained. No data, no weapons, no bodies. The same red symbol. Another message began to appear on data networks. Unclear where it came from. No source, no code trail. Just 6 words, pulsing across black screens. This is not our silence. This is your countdown. The Council grew desperate. They sent ships to Earth. Not warships, envoys. Peace carriers, drones, AI diplomats. None. Returned. One message came back. A voice. Calm. Female. Human. You will not be punished for the crime. You will be punished for not stopping it. The voice vanished. And the countdown began. Meanwhile, on Earth, preparations were silent but vast. Beneath the icy moons of Europa, ancient facilities lit up. In the Martian catacombs, machines that hadn't moved in centuries woke. From Jupiter's orbit, human vessels began to shift position, slow, methodical, invisible to most sensors. But one spy probe caught a glimpse, a single frame, a human ship rising from the ocean of Neptune's dark. Side. No windows. No weapons seen. Just smooth black metal. And behind it, another. And another, until the frame showed at least 50. The message that followed was short. We found their fleet. Earth has it. What happened next broke the galaxy's confidence. Earth didn't launch an attack. Instead, they erased a war, an entire conflict that had started on the outer edge of Sector 12 between 2 powerful empires. Just stopped. Not through peace talks. Not through negotiation. But because one side woke up to find all their ships turned off. Dead in space. No engines. No AI. All systems fried, but hulls untouched. A human drone floated near the largest flagship. Its message was loud and simple. Stop fighting. Earth is listening. They stopped. That day, a new fear was born not of Earth's weapons, But of their reach dot at Council HQ, chaos grew. Earth is forcing peace. One delegate shouted, "They're interfering in sovereign wars. They're breaking protocol." But deep down, everyone knew. Earth didn't care about protocol anymore. They had warned them. They had stayed silent, and now they were moving. Then came the shock. A human appeared, not in person. A broadcast. A man early. 40s. Calm eyes. Silver-lined black uniform. He spoke in front of a star map. No emotion. No threats. The Varellan Empire harmed a Terran envoy. You let it happen. You ignored our call. So we answered with quiet. He stepped aside. The star. Map lit up, red lights blinking across it. Systems erased. Fleets gone. Bases empty. Every red mark, he said, is a place where we chose not to destroy, just to remove. A pause. This is what we held back. Now imagine what we didn't use. The screen went dark. The council was frozen. Not one word, not one hand moved. They had seen something no one wanted to admit. Earth was not rising. In power. They had always been this strong. They just never needed to show it. In the days that followed, strange changes began. Old Earth allies who once doubted. Terran strength now swore eternal loyalty. Pirate factions disappeared, either surrendered, or simply vanished. Galactic news feeds replaced propaganda with silence. And everywhere, on every planet, children were taught a new law. Do not touch a human. And if you do, run. On the edge of the galaxy, in an old listening station, 2 alien technicians watched the stars. The younger one asked, "Why didn't Earth destroy us all?" The elder replied, "Because they don't want to rule us." Then what do they want? He looked up at the stars and said, "They want us to remember." The council chamber was packed over 1,000 delegates. Over 50 species, eyes sharp. Voices low. At the center, under harsh lights, stood Commander Varin Thal of the Varellan Empire Tal, cold-eyed, infamous for leading the mission that captured the human envoy. His hands were cuffed in anti-energy chains, his voice silent, his pride still burning. The galaxy was watching. This was supposed to be the trial that healed everything. A formal apology. A punishment. A message that justice still existed. But behind every curtain, everyone knew this trial wasn't about justice. It was about fear. 6 months ago, Varan Thal had made one mistake. He ordered the capture of a Terran ambassador. The ambassador was not armed, not threatening, just human. And yet, Thal had seen him as weak. He wanted leverage. He wanted power. He wanted to prove that Earth still followed the Council's rules. But that moment, that single order, had torn the galaxy apart. Worlds vanished, fleets erased, entire systems silenced. And now, finally, he stood on trial. Or, so they thought. The lead speaker, a gray-scaled Drathari named Junovesk, cleared her throat. "We begin today with the charges against Commander Thal," she announced. "Crimes against diplomatic peace, unprovoked aggression, and the triggering of what is now called the Terran response." The room was quiet. No one looked directly at the human delegation seats, because they were empty. No Terran representative had arrived. No statement. No observer. No envoy. Earth had not responded to the trial invitation. They didn't even acknowledge it. The silence was louder than a scream. The prosecution began. Videos were shown. Evidence presented. Footage of the Terran envoy's peaceful arrival. The moment Varen's troops surrounded him. How the envoy raised his hands, how he smiled, and how they beat him anyway. The room grew tense. Even those who once hated Earth now felt the weight of what had happened. They remembered what followed. Black ships, in the dark, silent weapons, systems blinking out without a trace. Still, Thal said nothing. When the defense began, his lawyer, a small insectoid from Kretel species, stood and said, "My client believed Earth was bound by the Council. He followed protocol as written. The human envoy had no protective treaty." Murmurs spread, but everyone knew it was a weak excuse. Protocol didn't matter anymore. Only the consequences did. The judge stood. "Before we give the final ruling," she said, "we will allow a final statement from the accused." She turned to Thal. "Do you wish to speak?" Varan Thal stood tall, eyes steady. He looked across the chamber. Then he said something strange. "Doesn't matter what you sentence me to." People shifted in their seats. He continued, "They're already here." The judge frowned. "Who?" Varan smiled, but it wasn't joy. "The humans." Before anyone could react, the lights flickered. Every screen in the chamber shut off. A cold wind passed through the sealed hall. Impossible. There was no air current. No windows. No way for wind to enter. And yet, it blew. Soft, cold, final. Then at the center of the chamber, a figure appeared. No sound. No warning. Just presence. A human. Tall, black armor. No insignia. No expression. Everyone froze. Security didn't move. No weapon was drawn, because everyone felt it in their bones. If they moved, they would die. The human looked at VARR and then turned to the judge. And spoke. "There will be no trial." His voice was soft, calm. Still, it echoed through the bones of every being in the room. The judge tried to speak. "This is a sovereign chamber." The human raised one finger. She went silent, not frozen, not stopped by force. She just couldn't speak any more. No one could. The human looked at the council. You speak of justice, he said. You speak of law. He took one step forward. But when our envoy bled, where were you? Silence. He turned slowly, facing the crowd. When you saw what Varan did you act? He pointed at different ambassadors. You negotiated. You delayed. You argued. He stopped. We warned you. He looked at Varan. And now, justice comes without permission. The human raised his hand. A black sphere floated toward. VARR, and the commander didn't flinch. I don't fear death. He spat. The human nodded. Double quotes good, because this is worse. The sphere wrapped around Varan's body. He floated into the air screaming as his molecules glitched. He wasn't dying. He wasn't burning. He was being unwritten, removed from reality. Not erased. Forgotten. When the process ended. There was no trace. Even his seat was gone. Even the memory of him began fading from weaker minds. The human turned back to the council. We do not seek war, he said. We do not seek control. But if one more finger is raised against our kind, he stepped back into shadow. The trial will not end in a room. It will end in fire. He vanished. The lights came back. Screens REBOOTD. The judge gasped for breath. Like she had just surfaced from deep water. The chamber was in chaos. Some delegates sobbed. Others shook. But one truth sat in every mind. This was not justice. This was judgment. Earth no longer asked permission to deliver it. In the days that followed, a new law was passed. Silently. Without vote. Without debate. It was simply uploaded into every planetary system. A single sentence. No human will ever stand trial again. Because the galaxy finally understood. Humans don't play by the rules anymore. They make them. And if you forget that, the trial doesn't happen. Because Earth doesn't wait. It began with a whisper inside the galactic network. At first. No one noticed. Just a small flicker in the communication lines. Then came the silence. Not static. Not noise. Just complete dead air. Then the message appeared. No signature. No source. Only a single line of text. We are not sending warnings anymore. Within seconds, thousands of systems received the same message. Government terminals, private satellites, diplomatic corps, even encrypted war. Networks untouchable by outsiders flashed with the same cold sentence. One by one, empires stopped speaking. No. One wanted to say it, but everyone knew who it came from. Earth. And this time, they weren't talking to one empire. They were talking to everyone. In the capital of the Veltran Dominion. Supreme Chancellor Kor read the message and laughed. They're bluffing, he muttered. We already gave them a peace pact. But, as he sipped his crimson wine, the stars outside his window dimmed. One by one, space around the capital darkened. Then, the sound came, a low hum, not mechanical, not musical. It felt like a breath, a slow, ancient breath filling the void. His glass shattered in his hand. And all his guards collapsed, not killed, not attacked, just disconnected, like someone had pulled the soul from every system. He ran. He never made it to the door. On the other side of the galaxy, the Thraxi Hive Lords saw their war nests catch fire from the inside. Not bombs, not invasions. Their own biosystems turned on them. And in their last moments, the queens screamed one name in a language no hive had used in centuries. Terrans. At the Council Core, where once the galaxy's laws were shaped, panic erupted. Dozens of fleets were scrambled, not to attack Earth, but to beg them to send messages of peace. But Earth no longer answered. Instead, they sent a second message. Video. This time, simple, clear. It showed a human child sitting inside a destroyed village. She was holding a small alien doll, covered in dust. Behind her, burning buildings, shattered STARSHIPS. Her voice was soft. They said humans were dangerous. But they touched my father first. They burned our school. Now they're gone. Then the screen went black. Another sentence appeared. You made monsters. Now they protect us. Asterisk, asterisk. Every empire that had once hurt humanity. Every. SLAVER. Every ship captain that ever mocked Earth's weakness. They all understood now. Earth wasn't sending a warning. Earth had become the judgment. But the worst blow came next. Collapse. That's what historians would call it. A moment where 10 of the strongest empires suddenly crumbled without a single shot. Not because Earth attacked, but because of the message Earth sent directly into their archives, into their secrets, into the parts of history they had erased. The message revealed everything. Every lie, every massacre hidden from public view, every deal made in blood and silence. Earth had broken through data vaults that had never been breached. They didn't just leak the files. They broadcasted them to the citizens. People turned on their leaders. Civil wars started. Overnight, entire dynasties fell before the sun rose again. One emperor screamed. How did they get this? These files were buried before Earth had electricity. Answer came. Another message. Voice only. No name. No face. We didn't find your secrets. We built machines that remember what the universe tries to forget. And then silence. The most powerful species in the galaxy had a new problem. They weren't fighting Earth soldiers. They weren't fighting Earth's weapons. They were fighting their own past. And Earth had forced them to look at it. But not all responded with fear. A few listened. A few truly understood. On the broken world of Draxel Prime, where humans were once enslaved, a single banner was raised from the ashes. We were wrong. We welcomed Terrans. A signal was sent. A ship landed. No invasion. No fire. Just one human stepping onto the soil. And offering medicine. The people of Draxel cried because they finally realized humanity didn't want to rule. They just wanted peace. But the galaxy wouldn't allow it. So Earth became something else. And then came the final message. Broadcast once. Played in every corner of every star system. A human voice. Not angry. Not cruel. Not just tired. We asked for kindness. You mocked it. We asked for space. You invaded it. We warned you. You ignored it. We bled. You cheered. Now. You listen. The voice paused. Then spoke 5 final words. The age of mercy ends. After that, the stars were quiet. Not because Earth silenced them, but because the galaxy finally listened. And in the silence, peace began. Not from treaties, not from force, but from understanding. Because every empire now had one law, whispered even to children. Do not touch the Terrans. They are the line between stars and fire. The battlefield was still burning. Ash rained from the skies like black snow. Craters glowed with dying plasma. Machines groaned, leaking sparks and blood from both metal and flesh. And in the middle of it all, someone was walking. One human. Unarmed. Unprotected. On a planet no human was supposed to survive. The cameras picked him up. First orbital satellites still functioning, barely. Military networks locked in. Every empire with a sensor feed tuned in. A single Terran, walking calmly through the ruins of a dead army. 3 hours earlier, the Karnax Dominion had sent its elite unit 10,000 troops, reinforced exosuits, thermic shields, orbital support. Their mission? To eliminate the human outpost on Keller 9. A hidden base, rumored to be researching something ancient. But when they arrived, they found only silence. The base was empty. No guards. No weapons firing. No walls, raised. Just a quiet facility under the foam. Burning sky. So they entered. The first squad lost contact within 60 seconds. The second didn't scream. They just vanished. By the time the fifth squad tried to retreat, the doors had locked. Cameras caught flashes of light, strange symbols on the walls, and shadows moving where no person stood. Then everything exploded. The Dominion thought the humans had activated a defense. AI. They were wrong. There was no no guns. No traps. Just him, the last man. The one they had forgotten was left behind. His name was Sergeant Elias Reeve. He had been wounded, stranded during a supply run. The base commander had ordered a silent evacuation, assuming Reeve was dead. He wasn't. And when the Karnax entered the facility, something in him broke. Or maybe it woke. Reeve didn't remember everything, only fire. Screening. And something whispering to him from the shadows. Something old, something waiting. He had found it deep in the lower floors of the base, locked inside. A vault no one could open, but he had bled on it, and it had opened, and it had chosen him. Now, as the galaxy watched, Elias Reeve walked through the ashes. His clothes were burnt, his skin blistered, but his eyes, they glowed gold, like twin suns had been buried in his soul. The Karnax Emperor watched the feed in silence. He had sent the strike team, himself, 10,000 of his best soldiers. Now, they were vapor. Reeve stopped in front of one of the burning Karnax walkers. He looked directly at the orbital camera and smiled. Then he raised his hand. Just once, the satellite feed went black. Every Dominion system shut down for 11 full minutes. Across 17 systems, everything died. Power grids. Warships. Even life support systems on key colonies. And when they came back online, every screen showed only his face. And 4 words. I remember everything now. No one knew what it meant, but ancient empires began to panic. Because Reeve had touched something they thought was sealed forever. A star key, a fragment of forgotten technology built by a race that predated the galaxy itself. No one had ever bonded with it. Until him. Earth didn't respond. They hadn't even known Reeve was still alive. But now they watched 2. And they saw what one man could become. Not a soldier, not a monster. Something else, something more. The Karnax Dominion sent another fleet. This time, 50,000 troops, plasma bombers, Titan-class walkers. Anti-star nukes. They never reached the planet. Something caught them in space. Something they never saw. They were erased. Quietly. Without light. Back on Keller 9, Reeve stood alone in the ruins of the outpost. He looked up. The sky shimmered. Something huge moved behind the clouds. Not a ship, not a storm. Something older. Waiting. Watching. And it spoke to him again, through his bones, through his blood. We were forgotten, but you remembered us. Now, walk. And he did, through the flames, through the pain. The galaxy gave him a name, the Terran who walked through fire. But for Earth, he was just Elias, a soldier, a man who had been broken and chose not to stay that way. Some say he died there. Others say he became part of the key. But long after he vanished, starships across the galaxy still caught glimpses. A single figure walking among burning wreckage, always heading forward, always untouched. And when new enemies threatened Earth, they didn't send a fleet. They didn't send a broadcast. They sent him. And worlds surrendered before he ever arrived. Because you can argue with an army, but not with a ghost made of fire. In a dark chamber deep beneath Earth's surface, a door stood sealed for over 3,000 years. No wires, no hinges, no handle. Just a slab of black metal fused into the rock. Pulsed once every century. And every time it did, Earth's scientists grew. Quiet. Because even with all the technology, all the alien knowledge, all the Terran superminds, no one could open it. Not without dying. The door had no name. But among Terran commanders and deep space elders, it was known by one phrase, the last thing we feared. No one spoke of it in public. No one listed it in archives. And for centuries, Earth chose to ignore it because they believed they didn't need it. Not anymore. Not after they had crushed empires. Not after their wrath had rewritten galactic law. Not after the galaxy finally feared them. But now, something had come. Something that made Earth remember why the door had been sealed. It started in the red void, a part of space older than stars, where no light entered. Ships vanished there. Signals were bent. Entire galaxies had collapsed near its edge. No empire explored it. But one day, something came out. It was not a fleet, not a species, not even alive in the way galaxies understood. It was a shadow, a black fold in space that moved, not drifted. Moved. With purpose, not with hunger, with intelligence that had no shape. It touched the farthest. Colonies first. Silently. The stars flickered, and then entire planets were just gone. No debris. No screams. Just absence. The Galactic Council sent everything it had. So did Earth. Armadas, AI titans, psychic shields. Nothing stopped it. Nothing. Even slowed it down. And when it finally whispered a signal into every system, all it said was, "You opened the wrong boxes. Now we come to collect." Panic swept through the human race. The ancient ones in sole command knew this voice. It wasn't alien. It was older than alien. Older than dimensions. It was the first war that even humans had forgotten. But the door remembered. In a sealed bunker. Under Antarctica, a final vote was held. Every Terran leader was there. No soldiers. No aides. Just those who had the right to say yes or no. The vote passed. 6-5. The door would be opened. It took 12 hours to prepare. A special Terran part machine, part memory stood before it. He had no name, only a purpose. To survive the unlocking, he placed his hand on the surface. The room went dark. Blood poured from his nose. His eyes caught fire. He collapsed, but the door pulsed once, then again, and then it opened. There was no sound. No wind. Just a soft light inside, and a voice that echoed across the earth. "You brought pain to the stars, but you still feared me. Why?" And Earth answered with silence. Then the AI of Soul Command spoke, through a speaker. "Because we remember what you did when you were free." The being behind the door had no shape. It was not human, not alien. It was the first Terran weapon built during the time Earth fought the old darkness, long before it joined the stars. A weapon so dangerous, Earth had locked it away, buried it. And erased all memory of its creation. But now, it was free. It didn't ask questions. It didn't scream. It simply left the chamber and stepped into the sky. The black fold, approaching Earth, paused. For the first time since it emerged. It stopped moving, not because it feared, but because it recognized the thing Earth had released. The first weapon whispered 3 words across the stars. "You forgot me too." And then it ran toward the shadow. No ships flew. No guns fired. No fleets clashed. Only silence. And then light. Not white, not blue. A deep, golden blaze that burned through the very laws of reality. And when it ended, the black fold was gone. So was the weapon. But in its place, something remained. A seed, floating in space. Glowing with the same pulse as the door. It drifted gently into Earth's orbit and waited. No one touched it. No one studied it. But all across the galaxy, A new warning began to spread. The Terrans had one door they never opened. And when they finally did, the void blinked. Centuries later, children on alien worlds would ask, "Is it true? Earth once feared something?" And the elders would nod. Yes, but now they fear it no more, because they became the ones who hold the last key. Asterisk series ended.